Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Everybody, Cantonese Care. Let's talk about 5 stocks here that have bullish chart, but not many people are really talking about them all that much. And I generally like to talk about things before they really truly run up a lot, even though that kind of hurts my YouTube channel or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. Because what I see is what I see, and when I'm bullish, I'm bullish. The number one stock that I'm bullish about that I'm ready to talk about here is Shopify. Why aren't people talking about it? Well, it's because it's done nothing over the last half a year. People get bored of anything. People remember that big giant downtrend over here that happened for a couple of months. And we have a hard time bringing about the 0.786 over here. But guess what? We back tested some very important things over here. We basically have broke above the Ichimoku cloud here on the monthly. And as we broke above the Ichimoku cloud here on the monthly, we basically have flipped this from resistance here into support. And not only did we backtest the Ichimoku cloud top here, we backtested the Tenkan, the blue line. We backtested the Kijun, the red line, and we even backtested the bottom of the cloud over here. We have big giant flush down, and a lot of liquidity was taken out. A lot of stop loss were triggered, and a lot of folks probably end up getting margin called. And because of that, and we end up closing the month in April above the Ichimoku cloud here, which is just absolutely incredible. It looks like a big giant dragonfly monthly candle here. We're going higher. And sure enough, it's riding a rising Tenkan up. It's not overextended. It looks pretty decent where it's at during the entire time. Backtest the rising 20-month moving average here again. There's nothing really bearish about this chart here at all. I love the way that Shopify is presenting itself. The only issue, well, not really necessarily an issue, the big boss over here is the 0.786 log fit. I didn't think it was going to push through. I think that's probably going to need some consolidation over here for a few months before pushing through here. Sure enough, decided to do the evil thing here back in April, grab liquidity. Now we're going back up here. I think we're going to end up challenging the 0.76 here relatively soon. And I think this time we'll break through it, back test it, and then we're going to challenge this previous all-time high over here. We've been making higher highs and higher lows all on the way up here, and I think it's going to keep doing the same thing. Once it gets to the previous all-time high, there's going to be some struggle there, but once we break through that area, I think the stock has potentially a 3, 4, or 6x potential here. Over the next 3 years, I think is possible. Again, 3, 4, or 6x here, I think is possible. This is a relatively mature company. It's not going to give you that crazy high gains, but it's just giving you enough volatility for you to get scared, for people to be disinterested. But I think whenever people see the kind of performance that's going to happen maybe over the next 2 or 3 years, I think people are going to end up thinking, hey, Shopify is actually a pretty decent stock here. So that's stock number one that has a bullish chart that not many people are talking about. Stock number two that has a bullish chart not many people talk about is FUTU. I think FUTU is looking great. I think FUTU has been having a hard time trying to push through the 0.786 here. Usually when stocks break the 0.786, it makes some all-time high stuff. But it's been having a hard time breaking, why? Because we simply haven't had that Bollinger Band expansion here on the upper Bollinger Band. So things end up getting a little bit overextended. Now we are expanding close to 0.786 here. I think we're getting a chance to really pushing through here for good. We have also, during the entire time, just like Shopify, backtested a rising 20-month moving average over and over again, making higher highs and higher lows, forming a little bit of a ascending triangle look to it over here. This chart looks wonderful. It hasn't really fully broken above the theoretical Ichimoku cloud here yet, but it did test the cloud bottom, tested a Tenkan here multiple times, Kijun here multiple times. Right now it looks like it's ready to go up. The Tenkan is rising. The blue line is rising. It's going to serve as support here to push the price up higher. Probably going to push through 0.786. 0.786 usually is the final boss. Again, once it pushes through, it's going to challenge the previous all-time high here around $200, and once it pushes through, then you're talking about some potential higher targets here. Potentially 4x, 5x, or even 8x is possible with FUTU if the liquidity comes in for the stock to really soar. It's just been consolidating sideways here, waiting for the Bollinger Band, upper Bollinger Band to expand here. But this is another bullish stock here. I have a position in Shopify. I don't have a position in FUTU. I have it in TIGR, but I talk a lot about it, so I'm not going to talk about it today. Stock number 3 that has a bullish chart that not many people are talking about anymore at this point, Grab. If you're looking at the Gann chart here that I have drawn for Grab that I just posted on X not long ago, you can see how it's broken above this arc up here, back tested the arc, pushed back through this arc here. Now it looks like it's going to break through this arc here for good. This is a weekly chart. The weekly candle has closed because we back tested the arc down below, back test the arc here, back test the arc here, back test the angle here, back test horizontal zone here. I think we're good to go to the next level, which is going to be around $7. That's probably where I think it's going to go next. Now, am I going to end up selling here at $7? No, of course not. Not really, because if you're looking at the monthly, this is a beautiful chart, by the way. If you look at the monthly chart, what you're really seeing here, and you can just go ahead and ignore the Gann here for a second. What you're really seeing here is an ascending triangle breakout and a backtest of this ascending triangle. And I think because this backtest has held extremely well, I think the next up move is going to be up. And I think it's just simply doing what is needed to do to really push the next move higher. We also are, if you also looking at the FIT level here too, if you use the all-time high near the IPO here, we finally broke about the 0.382 lock FIB here, which means that there are higher targets up above, such as the 0.5, 0.618, and whatnot. And I think this consolidation is much necessary before we go up higher, which is not a problem at all. Ichimoku Cloud, backtest the Tenkan Kitchen here, Tenkan's rising. I think the next move is going to be around 6.5. That's probably where I would say it's going to have stalling here for a little bit longer, but I'm not going to sell there because I think that on a higher time frame, on the monthly, it is finally flipped into something more and more bullish here over a longer term because the Bollinger Band is expanding and because the monthly 20-month moving average is serving as support to push price up higher. I think there's more room to go even beyond 6.5. Probably end up going higher back to the double digits here eventually. If you're talking about the potential, I think this one might move a little bit slower, but I do think that going back up to the double digits over here over the next 2 years, which means it's going to end up doubling in price over the next couple of years, I think is entirely possible. This is a relatively bullish stock. Now, stock number 4 that I'm bullish on that maybe some people are starting to talk about here, but it's not really that hot, and I'm not really seeing that many posts on it, is Rivian. Rivian looks great in a few ways. First of all, it's got a little bit of a breakout here above this symmetrical wedge, if you will. I've been eyeing this symmetrical wedge here for a long time and breaking up above of that. And this wedge here, if you're looking at the weekly, that actually looks better because if I do the trend line like here, you can see how it actually ended up breaking above the trend line and just had a very beautiful back test here at this trend line. And looks like we had a breakout and a throwback, which is in general resistance turn to support here is a bullish thing. Now, the other thing that I look at that I'm bullish on is really looking at more of the high time frame here on the monthly, because whenever I see something like this where the 20-month moving average is being turned into from resistance here into support, I generally think that the early bull market is coming, and this looks pretty good here. So I ended up initiating a position around $15. I'm going to keep buying as much as I can during this period of time. You can also see it's reclaiming the Tenkan over here, which is promising. On the weekly here, you have another finding here. It also is getting me more bullish, which is the Katana. We had a very volatile move up here for the last 9 candles. Tenkan and the kitchen are fused. This generally is a good indicator that a more volatile move, if price is above the Katana, a more volatile move to the upside could happen. And this could happen fairly soon after it's done consolidating. Now, we just end up getting rejected here at the top of the Ichimoku Cloud, but we're finding support here in the Tenkan so far. Can it break down and touch the bottom of the cloud? Yes, it can. But overall, there is a good chance where we just break above the cloud, even if we just go sideways, and we might end up escaping from there, especially if the monthly Bollinger Band is telling us that, hey, maybe we got this. This doesn't look bad here, to be honest. Bollinger Band squeezing is no longer expanding. You might have a little bit of a consolidation trend change here with things reclaiming 20-month moving average. This thing can go a lot higher. If you're talking about targets, this is a little bit harder for me. I generally like to do a fib sequence here. You can see that it's not even hitting some of the higher fib levels. So honestly, it could end up doubling, tripling, quadrupling, 5x, like 6x. And that could be the end of the cycle, and it might not make any all-time high, and that would still be a lot of gains from where it is at right now. So I think that this is, again, I'm talking about potential. I'm not talking about that the price is absolutely going to hit those areas. That's not what I'm saying. But I just think that the trend is looking more bullish, and the potential could be high. My final one here is Affirm. Affirm is a stock that not many people are talking about anymore. And when I'm looking at Affirm, all I'm really seeing is it finally is able to reclaim the 0.618 lock fib here again. Looks like we might be on our way to challenge the 0.786. Another thing that tells me that is last month we got rejected here at the cloud and also at the Tenkan, but so far the month is pushing through. Month is still early. I don't know whether or not it's going to end up pushing through and closing the month looking like this, but if we end up closing the month looking like this, then we're going to the 0.786 up here, which is bullish. It is also back testing the 20-month moving average just fine. It is also got a little bit of a Bollinger Band contraction here, which tells us that, hey, if we're able to stay above the 20-month moving average and the Bollinger Band is contracting, when a bigger move is to happen, the bigger move could be pushing to the upside. If you're talking about pushing to the upside, if we end up breaking the 0.786 up here, some of these targets up above is possible because of how volatile this stock has been. If you're able to break about 0.786, you could potentially get to 1.272. That's possible. It may or may not get up there. Again, these are just speculation, but that's possible. If it ends up breaking 0.786 and break all-time high, that could be an area to be watched. When is that going to happen? In a few years. It's not going to happen right away, I don't think. All right, guys. Those are the 5 stocks that I see to have bullish potential. Out of them, I have a position in 4 of them. I am done buying 3 of them, and I am buying Rivian right now as we speak. All right, guys. Take care. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.